Was good, y'all. The end of the NBA season is upon us. It flew by. I don't know about you guys, but it feels like just yesterday it was opening night. And now we're about to start the playoffs. And you know what that means? That means we have NBA awards. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you guys my personal ballot for all of the awards, all of the NBA teams, whether that's AllNBA, AllDefensive, AllRookie. We're going over it all in this video. Count how many times I just said all. It's a lot. But I just wanted to share with you guys my official picks. You know, I don't have an official vote just yet, at least. Give me a few years and I'll be there. But all jokes aside, you know, I feel like I watch a lot of basketball. I have a good basketball mind, so I wanted to share my personal picks. And if you guys see anything in this video that you disagree with, you guys know I'm always open to discussion, so leave a comment down below and let me know why you think I'm wrong and why you are right. And then lastly, before we get to the first award, I know I've been uploading just about once a week recently. You know, it was towards the end of the NBA season, things were kind of winding down, but now with the playoffs happening, I'm going back to 2 times a week. Make sure you guys are subscribed so you don't miss out. Let's get to the first award, and that is Rookie of the Year. My Rookie of the Year winner is, of course, Victor Wembanyama, with Chet Holmgren coming in second and Brandon Miller finishing third. I wanted to start with Rookie of the Year because I feel like this is one of the more straightforward awards where it's, you know, pretty obvious. Everyone should have Victor Wembanyama as the Rookie of the Year. He should be unanimous. Just the things that he does on the court at just 20 years old is absolutely insane to me. Wemby started off his rookie season pretty shaky. You know, he wasn't the player we see now, which is just, again, insane to think about when we're talking about one season that went by. But early on, you know, it was a competition between Chet and Wemby. For a little bit early in the season, I did have Chet as my Rookie of the Year, but just game after game after game, Wemby got better, both offensively and defensively. I mean, as a rookie, he led the league in blocks at over 3.4 per game. Like, what? He had a triple-double with blocks. He had a 5x5 game. He will hit a step-back 3 on you at 7'4". He can grab the board, dribble up court, coast to coast, and dunk on you. There is not anything on the basketball court that Victor Wembanyama cannot do. He was marketed as a generational talent, and he is a generational talent. That's why I pick him as Rookie of the Year. But I do want to give the flowers to Chet and to Brandon Miller because, like I said, earlier in the season, I had Chet as my Rookie of the Year. In any other year, Chet would win Rookie of the Year, but unfortunately he has to be in with this generational talent like Wemby. He is a big part of why the Thunder are as successful as they were this season, you know, again, blocking shots, shooting threes. And then Brandon Miller too, he has been getting better and better as the year goes by. I'm really excited to see him next year with a healthy LaMelo Ball and some more structure to the Charlotte Hornets. I know structure and Hornets aren't really 2 words used together, but for Brandon Miller's sake, I'm hoping that he has that structure next year and can continue to grow because he is showing a lot of promise as well. The next award we're covering is Coach of the Year, and I have Mark Daigneault of the OKC Thunder winning, with Jamal Mosley of the Magic in second and Joe Mazzulla of the Celtics in third. Now, if you were to ask a majority of NBA fans right before the season started what they thought about the Thunder, they would have probably said that they're improved from last year. You know, they were a play-in team last year. Maybe they would be around that anywhere from maybe like 7 to 5 range, I would assume. I know when I did my preseason preview on the Thunder, I said that their ceiling was the 4 seed. Right now, they're sitting at the 3 seed, only 1 game back from the 1st seed in an absolutely loaded Western Conference when they have one of the youngest teams in basketball. And of course, they have their superstar of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You know, Jalen Williams is looking like he can maybe become a superstar in the future. Chet Holmgren, you could say the same thing about him. But still, it takes a good head coach to gather all of his young talent and put them in positions to really win and be great like he's doing right now. Mark and the Thunder just blew everyone's expectations out of the water this season, and I am very confident that Mark will win this award. I think it's a lock. And for a lot of the similar reasons that I said about Mark, I had Jamal Mosley as second because, again, like the Thunder, Orlando is one of the youngest teams in basketball. No one really expected them to be anywhere near the top seed. They thought maybe it was a play-in team at most. Again, talking about my preseason previews, I think I had them as like the 8th seed. And if you look at the Magic now, they're battling for home court advantage in the Eastern Conference. Again, blew expectations out of the water. Praise to Jamal Mosley. And then for Joe Mazzulla, I don't think a lot of people are going to give him the credit he deserves because the Celtics have such a boatload of talent. But to be that head and shoulders above not even just everyone in your conference, but everyone in the league, again, the coach has to get some type of recognition for that. Moving on to the newest award, and that is, of course, Clutch Player of the Year. And I have Mr. Steph Curry winning it, with DeMar DeRozan being a close second and Jalen Williams being in third. When I was doing my research for this award, I had at first DeMar DeRozan winning and Steph Curry in second. But then I ended up switching them. I realistically think it's pretty much a two-man race with that. I threw Jalen Williams in there because he has been great in the clutch, but it was really between Steph Curry and DeMar DeRozan. And when you look at their stats, they are very, very similar. Both of them are tied for first in clutch points per game, and that is at 4.5. The shooting splits are almost identical as well. Steph Curry is shooting 50% from the field, 46% from three, 95% from the free throw line in the clutch. DeMar DeRozan is shooting 50% from the field, 47% from three, and 88% from the free throw line. It's basically neck and neck there. And when I was splitting hairs to figure out who I was going to choose to win, I went with Steph Curry because I remembered more game-winning shots from Steph Curry. He has been clutch all season in so many different games. Not to discredit DeMar and say that he hasn't, because he has, but just when it came to memory first, it was Steph Curry that showed up. You could say that that's, shaky ground to really make the decision on, but it's my pick. I just think about the game winners that he hit, like the crazy scoop layup against the Thunder, or the wild catch, turn, and shoot from super deep against the Suns for game. He had a game winner against the Kings as well. It's just, again, just the moments were brought up more in my memory when thinking about Steph Curry in the clutch, so I gave him the award. But if you want to give it to DeMar, I'm not going to argue on it. And then I put J-Dub in third because he has been one of the best fourth quarter scorers in the entire NBA, even better than his MVP candidate teammate Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And it's not only just the fourth quarter scoring, but when you look at him in the clutch, he is shooting out of this world, over 68% from the field and over 58% from three. That is sixth in the entire NBA when you look at field goal percentage, and everyone above him in that are centers that only take layups and dunks. Just unreal numbers in the clutch for J-Dub. Moving on to the Most Improved Player Award, I have Tyrese Maxey winning it, with Kobe White in second, and for the second award in a row, I have Jalen Williams coming in third. This award is a little bittersweet because two of my top candidates are ineligible for the award, and that is Jalen Johnson, who I would have picked personally if he was eligible, and Alperen Sengun, which would definitely have made my top three as well. I don't want to discredit any of these three guys because they have all had incredible seasons and improved a lot, but it does suck just that they barely missed out because of some injuries. So I just want to start off by giving shouts out to Jalen Johnson and Alperen Sengun. But back to the actual winner of the award, and that is Tyrese Maxey. When I look at Tyrese, obviously with James Harden not being there, it kind of opened the door for him to really go crazy and take that next step, and he took advantage of that. Even last year when he was playing with James Harden, he did show signs of being a great scorer, averaging over 20 points per game. He showed that he can shoot the three ball off the dribble, he can get out in transition and finish at the rim. But what really jumped out the page or jumped out the screen when watching him this season was his playmaking. He has really taken those steps to be the playmaker. When James Harden was there, he was the point guard, he was the facilitator, he was running the offense. Now Tyrese has stepped up and take on that role, and he has been incredible at it while still being the great scorer, the great shooter that he was last year. You gotta think about it. There was parts of last year where he was coming off the bench for Doc Rivers, and now he made the jump to being an all-star. That is a very difficult jump to do. And not only that, with Joel Embiid missing a bunch of games with his knee injury, he had to step up and not only just be the number 2 option on a contending team, but he had to be the number 1 option and try to keep the 76ers afloat while Joel Embiid was coming back. Obviously, they fell in the standings, and, it's a tough test to just be like, yo, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, the guy that dropped 70 points and averaging 35 points per game, he's out. Go crazy, keep us going and winning games. Very tough task to ask of someone, but Tyrese did his best. He won them some tough games throughout that stretch, and now they're looking to make that playoff push. Kobe White was a close second for me, though, too, because he got the full starter job over there in Chicago, and he ran with it. He added 10 points per game to his average. His assists went up. His rebounds went up. The only thing with Kobe is, like I said, we have to split hairs here when we're choosing award winners. Kobe White is getting 13 minutes per game more than he did last season compared to Tyrese, who is just getting 4 minutes. So obviously it's a big increase in production, but it was also a big increase in load and an increase in minutes. Just gave him more of an opportunity. And again, I don't like discrediting guys because he took advantage of his opportunity and had a great season. but Tyrese just edged him out a little bit. And then with J-Dub here, I'm kind of being a hypocrite because I've talked about before how I don't like how most improved player has kind of shifted. Instead of like the unexpected guy that breaks out, it's just the young player that's taking the jump we normally get. You know, I call it the Ja Morant effect. No disrespect to Ja, but he's like the first guy that really started that trend. And Jalen Williams being a second-year player, I'm kind of being hypocritical here, but with the other guys like Jalen Johnson and Şengün out, I kind of just shifted Jalen up here because he did improve a lot. You know, last year he was super efficient as a rookie, looked very comfortable on the court. Now he looks 10 times more comfortable. He is even more efficient. He added the three-point shot. You know, the playmaking is there. The defense is there. I am really, really high on Jalen Williams. I've talked about it on the channel before. I've said on my Twitter before, I really like Jalen Williams. He's taking the steps, and I think he's going to continue to improve even further than this. Coming down to the last few awards, and we have the Sixth Man of the Year, which I have Malik Monk winning, Naz Reid coming in second, and then in third, rounding out the finalists, we have Norman Powell. If you looked up Sixth Man of the Year award in the dictionary, I feel like the picture that would be right next to it is Malik Monk and his type of archetype of player. He is just exactly what you think of, or at least what I think of when I think of a six man, and that is a guy that can come off the bench, give you instant offense, and really just light it up in an instant, and that describes Malik Monk perfectly. He averaged 15 points and 5 assists off the bench. That's top 5 in bench scoring and first in bench assists. You know, I never really saw Malik Monk as a playmaker or a guy that can really pass like that. This season, he has surprised me a lot, especially in the pick and roll. He has been incredible. And it sucks that he went down with injury. I'm pretty sure he should be back for the playoffs. I could be mistaken, but I think so. And I mean, you saw he went down, and the Kings have been struggling a lot recently. I'm pretty sure there's a little bit of correlation there. He is a big part of their offense. I know Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox get a lot of credit, but Malik Monk is just as big of a part. Naz Reid made it close to, putting him in second. The Timberwolves are having such a successful season, being a top 3 seed this year, and Naz Reid's a big part of that as well. He's one of the more unique centers we have in the NBA because, he's about 6'9", so he's slightly undersized for the center position, but he can dribble like no other center in the NBA. He's shooting over 40% from 3 on, I think, over 5 attempts per game as well. Just his offensive skill set is unmatched when you're talking about centers. And again, like Malik Monk, the Timberwolves are able to put him in the lineup, and it's just instant offense for the T-Wolves. And then lastly, I had Norman Powell there because he has been a big part for the Clippers and their offense. Coming off the bench, shooting, I think, like 43% from 3 or something absurd like that, giving them about 14 points per game as well. And I talk about it a lot. I like when 6 men can, work on themselves and with the bench unit, but also work with the starters and kind of close out games. Norman Powell fits that perfectly, spreading the floor for guys like Kawhi, Paul George, James Harden, all of those guys. He has been incredible. Second to last, we have Defensive Player of the Year, and like many others, I'm sure, I have Rudy Gobert winning it, his 4th of his career, which is insane to say. Then we have Anthony Davis in second, and Victor Wembanyama as a rookie coming in third. Defensive Player of the Year was one of the easiest awards for me to do because I feel like Rudy Gobert has had this wrapped up for a while now. Throughout basically the whole season, the Timberwolves have the #1 defense in the league, and Rudy Gobert is the biggest part of that. Obviously, they have great defenders besides him, like, Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. But Rudy Gobert is the biggest reason because he's their whole defensive scheme. It works out how they have the great perimeter defenders, but when they blow past them, Rudy Gobert is sitting there like this, waiting for you to try to go up, because if you do, gone. I've talked about Rudy Gobert's value before. It's not just blocking shots. It's not just turning away guys and stopping them from even attempting a shot at the rim, but he can guard in the pick and roll. He can guard in space when he switches out. He is just all around a great defender. I didn't even bring up his rebounding. He's top 5 in rebounding this season as well. I think it's a very easy answer to give Rudy Gobert this award. AD came in second for me because, like Rudy Gobert, he is the Lakers' entire defensive scheme. He is just one of the most versatile defenders in the whole NBA. I really value versatility when it comes to defense, especially from your centers. I love that Anthony Davis will guard the rim, protect it from that, can guard the pick and roll, can switch out, can get steals, can get deflections. He could do a lot on the defensive end and cover a lot of ground. And not only just that, he also has had the most healthy season he has had since the Lakers won the championship, and that, I think, should not go unnoticed. Shout out to you, AD, for staying healthy. And then, crazy enough, I have the rookie Victor Wembanyama coming in third. I know there's some people talking about how he should win Defensive Player of the Year because he is the best defender in the NBA, which is arguable, and that he brings, the highest raise of defense, if that makes sense. He raises the floor of your defense the most in the NBA, which is, I don't even think, arguable. I think that's very true. When he's not on the court for the Spurs, they have a bottom defense. When he's on the court for the Spurs, they have a top defense. But for me, kind of like for MVP, there's like that unwritten rule. You have to have one of the top seeds in the league to win MVP. I kind of see that with Defensive Player of the Year. If the Spurs were in the play-in tournament or, around that 7 seed, I would probably give it to Victor Wembanyama. But they are one of the worst teams in the entire NBA. I just can't give him Defensive Player of the Year. Not only that, if you wait till maybe even next year, Wemby will win his first Defensive Player of the Year. I think he will easily win 4 to 7 Defensive Player of the Years in his career, and I'm not exaggerating. And the last award that we have before we get into All-NBA, All-Defensive, and All-Rookie teams is MVP. And I just wanted to build a little bit of suspension before we brought it in here. It's a 4-man race. It's Luka, it's Jokic, it's Giannis, and it's Shea. In any order of those 4 guys, I could see your argument, but it's definitely a 4-man race. There's only 3 finalists, though, and there's only 1 winner. So without further ado, let's see my MVP ballot. I have Luka Doncic winning his first MVP. Nikola Jokic is runner-up yet again for the 2nd year in a row. And Giannis Antetokounmpo is 3rd yet again for the 2nd year in a row. Right after the All-Star break, I did a video where I did my mid-season awards. And I was talking, I think at that time I had Luka at 3rd. And I was talking about him, and I said, Luka, you're having an incredible season this year, doing unheard of things. But you're sitting at that 8 seed right now in the play-in tournament. And like I was just talking about with Defensive Player of the Year, you gotta kind of just climb the standings a little bit. If you get to that 5-4 range, maybe even 6, I'll think about it. But really that 5-4 range, I'll give you the MVP. If you look at the standings, I don't know why I checked a fake watch like that was gonna show me the standings. But if you look at the standings, Luka Doncic and the Mavericks are sitting at the 5 seed. And I'm a man of my word. Luka got his team up there, battled. I think since the All-Star break, they're like 18-2 or something insane like that. Shout out to Luka. You deserve this MVP. It's a little bit of a struggle for me to talk about guys like Jokic or Luka or Giannis, even you could throw him in there. Guys that do everything for their team, because that's the thing. They do everything for their team. They score, they rebound, they play make, they do everything. But when you look at Luka Doncic specifically, he's leading the league in scoring. He's 2nd in assists while averaging 9 rebounds as a 6'7" point guard, and even putting a career high in field goal percentage and 3-point percentage while shooting insane threes. Step back, off the dribble, sidestep, whatever it is, hand in your face, knocking it down. Like he can do everything on the court, and he does everything on the court for the Mavericks. Y'all know too, Jokic is my man. He is a very close 2nd. If you have him number 1, I'm not gonna argue with you. I think he definitely does deserve it as well, for all the same reasons as Luka. He's playmaking, he's scoring, he's rebounding for his team. His team has the 1 seed right now as I'm recording this video. I really have no bad things to say about Jokic. Obviously, if you take him off the Nuggets, they are going to be a way worse team. He, again, does so much for this team. I just feel like Luka's had the better season very, very slightly. And then with Giannis at 3rd, he has won 2 MVPs in the past. And I think that this season he's playing his best basketball, offensively at least. Defensively, he has been on another level before, but offensively he is doing amazing things. 30 points per game, 6.5 assists, shooting 60% from the field. Like, he has been unstoppable all season. There's been a lot of turmoil, with firing Adrian Griffin, hiring Doc Rivers. Damian Lillard has been a little disappointing since coming over to Milwaukee. Through it all, though, Giannis has been playing at top tier level, and I want to give him his flowers for that. And with all that being said, that is my official award ballot. I know this video is getting pretty long, but now we are moving on to the All-NBA teams. All-NBA first team is up first, of course. Let's take a look. In case you guys forgot, it is positionless now this year. You can have any combinations of any player. And of course, I have my top 3 MVP finalists. I have the guy I had in 4th in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And this may come as a surprise to some of you guys, but I have Jalen Brunson, All-NBA first team. For those of you who don't know, I am a Knicks fan. I mean, you can kind of tell from the Julius Randle jersey behind me. And I want to say this wholeheartedly. I did not put Jalen Brunson NBA first team because of bias. I did it because I have watched damn near every single game of him playing basketball this season. Maybe missed 4 or 5 total. That man is unguardable. He led the Knicks to a top 3 seed this season. You know, they could move all the way up to the 2 seed. They could fall down to the 4 seed. Either way, he's led the Knicks to a top seed in the Eastern Conference this season. While missing for most of the year, Julius Randle has been out. OG Anunoby has been in and out of the lineups. Mitchell Robinson has been missing for majority of the season. No matter what, no matter who's sitting next to him, standing next to him on the court, Jalen Brunson goes out there and gives whoever is guarding him buckets on buckets on buckets, willing the Knicks to wins. He'll give it to you in the mid-range, at the rim, with a floater, a catch-and-shoot 3, a sidestep 3. You know, at a whopping 6'1", he will mess you up in the post, give you a up and under. Whatever way you want the bucket, he'll serve it to you on a silver platter. Jalen Brunson, All-NBA first team. Now moving on to All-NBA second team, we have Jason Tatum, Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James. In case you guys couldn't tell from the first team, I'm not going to sit here and talk about all 5 players on all of these teams because this video would be even longer than it already is. But I do want to talk about Jason Tatum because he was really, really close to making the first team above Brunson, and I think the real voters are going to vote him All-NBA first team above Jalen Brunson. And that's not to say he doesn't deserve it. I mean, he is the best player on the best team in basketball by far. He's putting up insane numbers as well. You know, he definitely deserves All-NBA first team. I feel like Jalen Brunson edges it out just a little bit more. Shout out to JT though, he's been having a great season. And then also I think it's pretty cool to look at, you know, obviously you have Jason Tatum, who's a young star. Anthony Davis he's not young, he's not old, he's kind of in the middle. But to see LeBron James, the oldest player in basketball, Kevin Durant, one of the oldest players in basketball, and Kawhi Leonard as well, who's around that 33, 34 years old range, it's still cool to see, you know, the mega top stars from the last generation still chugging along this season and you know, still giving us elite hoops. And then my All-NBA third team, we have Steph Curry, Anthony Edwards, Devin Booker, Domantas Sabonis, and Tyrese Halliburton. Shout out to both Anthony Edwards and Tyrese Halliburton in this hypothetical, making their first All-NBA teams. You know, Anthony Edwards, of course, kind of like what I was saying with Jason Tatum, the best player on the, not best team out west because that's the Nuggets, but one of the best teams out west in the Timberwolves, really leading the way for them offensively, just giving great scoring outbursts every single night. Then for Tyrese, he's leading the league in assists. I mean, he's definitely slowed down from, you know, the beginning of the season. He was absolutely nuclear, going crazy every single night. It's definitely slowed down a little bit. I think part of that is his hamstring injury that he hurt himself with a little bit before All-Star break. Either way, though, he has had an incredible season. And I also think it's pretty cool to look at. In this scenario, you have Tyrese Halliburton and Domantas Sabonis on All-NBA third team. And I know that trade gets talked up a lot because it's like, oh, it's a win-win for both teams. And I feel like that's a pretty cool visual to see that. I know it could get corny and repetitive a lot, but to see 2 players that were traded for each other, both on All-NBA third team, again, pretty cool to look at. And before we move on to all defensive teams, I do want to just give a quick shout out to the few guys that just barely missed the list. You know, I gave a lot of consideration to these guys, and that is Paul George, Rudy Gobert, Jaylen Brown, and Zion Williamson. I could damn near make an All-NBA fourth team with those guys right there. All 4 of those guys have had incredible seasons, contribute a lot to their teams winning a lot of games. They just barely missed the cutoff though. I had to trim it down to 15 somehow. Now for my all defensive teams, the top row is first team, the bottom row is second team, and my all defensive first team is Rudy Gobert, Anthony Davis, Victor Wembanyama, Herb Jones, and Bam Adebayo, with my second team being Chet Holmgren, Jared Allen, Jalen Suggs, Derek White, and Isaiah Hartenstein. I felt a little guilty making my all-defensive list because, in case you guys did not realize, like I said, it is all positionless now, and I had 7 centers on my all-defensive team. 7 out of the 10 players that I had on all-defense are centers. And again, I kind of feel a little bit guilty because it diminishes the value of having a great perimeter defender on your team. But I guess I just value anchors. I don't really know. I do feel a little bit bad though. And I guess it's a perfect time to talk about the only non-center that made all-defensive first team, and that is Herb Jones. He has been on another planet this year, not only just defensively, but just all around for the Pelicans. He has been incredible. But to focus in on his defense, the number one thing that always flashes right to the front of my mind when I think about Herb Jones is he had this play on Paul George a few weeks ago at this point now, but he was sitting in the paint. Paul George caught the ball, pulling up for three. Herb Jones sprints out, blocks his three-pointer, runs out in transition. They kick it ahead. He gets a layup. Insane range, and that is the number one thing I think of when I think of Herb Jones is range. Having that 7-foot wingspan at, I think he's like 6'7", 6'8", maybe around there. Can guard, I know this gets thrown around, can guard 1 through 5, really switchable, really rangy. I've mentioned I really value versatility a lot on defense. Herb Jones is the definition of versatility. Then moving down to my second team, I want to give a shout out to Jarrett Allen. I feel like he has been super underrated this season. Of course, Evan Mobley went down for an extended period this year, and the Cavs thrived during that time, and a big part of that was Donovan Mitchell, but also a big part of that was Jarrett Allen and him defensively holding it down. And then my last pick for all defense was Isaiah Hartenstein, and I feel like that's my most controversial pick. I picked him because the Knicks throughout the entire season have had one of the best defenses in the league. Of course, when OG Anunoby plays, it goes even to another level. He didn't make enough games played to make this list. If he did, he probably would have made it instead of Isaiah. But since he didn't play a lot of games, you got to contribute the Knicks defense to someone else, and I contributed to Isaiah Hartenstein. Again, Mitchell Robinson missed a lot of the year as well, so Isaiah stepped up as the starting center for the Knicks and played incredible defense. If you look at some of the advanced numbers as well, it really favors towards Isaiah Hartenstein. The eye test favors towards Isaiah Hartenstein. Again, I do feel bad because it's so center heavy, but it's my list. But just like my all-NBA teams, I do have some guys that were left out, so I want to give big shouts out to Alex Caruso, KCP, and Jonathan Isaac. Jonathan Isaac did not make enough games played, so if he did, he may have been swapped out for Jalen Suggs because, Jonathan Isaac has been otherworldly defensively this season. But also KCP and Caruso, especially KCP, I really wanted him to get on this list. I was going back and forth if I should swap him out for Isaiah Hartenstein. I ended up going Isaiah, but shout out to KCP. He's been incredible for the Nuggets. And last but not least, we have my all-rookie teams. Just like the defense, the top is first team, the bottom is second team. On first team, I have Victor Wembanyama, Chet Holmgren, Brandon Miller, Derek Lively, and Brandon Podziemski. And then for second team, I have Jaime Jaquez Jr., Cason Wallace, Gigi Jackson, Keontae George, and Asar Thompson. I remember last summer I made a video talking about the Dallas Mavericks, saying that I feel like they were going a little bit under the radar. I really liked the offseason that they had, and I thought they were going to be really good. And a big part of that was Derek Lively. I was pretty high on Derek Lively coming out of Duke. I've said before, I'm not a big college basketball guy, but after they get drafted, I'll do my deep dive, watch some film, read some reports, listen to podcasts, whatever it is to kind of get acclimated to these rookies. And I really like the skill set Derek Lively brought to the Mavericks. I feel like he fit Luka perfectly. And as we saw in his rookie season, he did fit Luka perfectly. He's the exact center you want next to him. He'll grab rebounds, catch lobs, defend the rim, get out in transition. Also, something that really surprised me about Derek was his playmaking. He is incredibly good at off the offensive rebound, kicking it out to the open man, or even in the pick and roll on that short roll, making the quick read and react, passes like that. He has been incredible his rookie season. And then for my second team, I wanted to highlight Gigi Jackson because he is the only second round pick to make my all rookie teams. He also is the youngest player in the NBA currently right now. And he has played great for the Grizzlies. I know it's been kind of streaky. He's been hit some games, missed some games. That's what comes with being a really young player on a pretty bad team this season. But I am really interested to see what he looks like next to the real Grizzlies, when Ja Morant is back with Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson, all of those guys. I feel like, maybe not directly next year, but a year after that, he's going to be the perfect fit to fit alongside all of those guys at that small forward. You know, he's got length, he can shoot, he can defend, he can finish. I'm really liking G.G. Jackson. And the rookie teams, honestly, were one of the hardest to make because there are a lot of high-quality draft picks in this rookie class. I am really, really high on this rookie class, not only just for now, but even in the few years with how these players are going to grow. I think it could be one of the best great draft class of all time. I know I've said that before, but, you know, the guys that got left off, I can make a whole all-rookie third team right here. Men Thompson, he has been incredible to finish the season. If he started playing like this earlier on in the season, you know, if he got into that rotation earlier on, he probably would have made it over his brother Asar. But also we have Trace Jackson Davis, Cam Whitmore, Scoot Henderson, and Tamani Kamara. All guys have been great this season as rookies. And that is my official 2023-2024 NBA awards ballot. I know this video was probably way longer than any of my other ones, and if you made it to this point, I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Let me know what you guys think of my picks, though. You know, like I said, if you disagree with anything, I'm always down to debate in the comments, so make sure you leave it down low. Make sure you leave a like on the video as well. Subscribe if you are not already. Like I said, with the playoffs starting, I'm going to be pumping out videos. In the description, there's links to all my social medias, so make sure you follow me on all those to keep up to date with me, especially my Twitter. Catch y'all.